What's the most "I should not be witnessing this right now" moment you've ever had? So this happened when I was 16. I was walking home from school through a neighborhood I didn't usually take, just trying to cut a few minutes off my walk. Suddenly, I hear shouting from a backyard, loud, angry shouting. Curiosity gets the better of me and I peek over the fence. Two neighbors who I'd never seen interact before are in the middle of a full-blown fight. And I don't mean normal yelling, I mean screaming, hair-pulling, and furniture-flinging chaos. I freeze. I shouldn't be watching this. One of them grabs a garden gnome and throws it. It hits the other in the shoulder. I duck instinctively, then it gets weirder. The fight devolves into a bizarre wrestling match in the mud, and suddenly one of them pulls out a garden hose and starts spraying the other like they're in a medieval water battle. I'm standing there thinking, do I call the cops? Am I dreaming? Then out of nowhere, the neighbor's Doga, huge German shepherd, decides to join in, barking, jumping, and trying to defend its owner. I nearly trip over my own feet trying to back away, but I can't stop watching. After about 5 minutes, both humans are soaked muddy and gasping for air. They collapse on the lawn, glaring at each other, while the dog happily jumps into their laps. I walked home shaking. I didn't know if I should laugh, call someone, or just lie down and cry. That backyard fight was so chaotic and absurd, and I definitely should not have been witnessing it. But somehow it became the mental highlight of my week. This one's messy. I was invited to a summer party at a friend's pool. Everything was fine for the first hour, music, drinks, people laughing. Then some guy decided it was a good idea to start doing acrobatics from the diving board. I freeze as I watch him attempt a backflip and completely miss the landing. He crashes into someone else, knocking over a cooler, spilling drinks and food everywhere. Everyone screams. Someone yells, "Stop filming, help him." But then chaos escalates. The pool floaties start tipping over. A dog jumps in, and people begin slipping and sliding in the spilled drinks. I'm standing on the deck thinking I should not be witnessing this. Somehow, a girl ends up in the pool with a tray of drinks still balanced perfectly on her arms, and then she falls too. Drinks go flying. Everyone is soaked, and the DJ falls into the shallow end, turning the music off mid-song. By the end of the night, the pool looked like a hurricane hit it. And I was the only one sober enough to stand back and think, this is insane, I should not be witnessing this. I was walking home late one night when I hear yelling from the street ahead. Two guys are arguing, escalating into shoving, and then, out of nowhere, a stray chicken runs straight into the middle of the fight. I stop. My brain freezes. I'm thinking, wait, is this happening? A chicken? The chicken starts flapping like it owns the world. One guy trips over it, the other tries to grab it. Chaos. Cars are honking, people are screaming. I just lean against a wall, trying not to get involved. Eventually, one of the guys throws the chicken into a bush. The fight continues, now completely ignoring the animal. Meanwhile, I'm standing there thinking, I should not be witnessing this. I made it home alive, but I still think about that chicken randomly flapping into chaos. That's a moment my brain refuses to forget. This happened in New York on the subway. I'm sitting on a crowded train when a guy jumps up and starts performing this wild juggling act. At first, it's impressive balls in the air, tricks the whole thing. Then about 3 minutes in, he starts spinning knives, real knives, sharp ones. People are screaming, some are ducking. I freeze completely. Suddenly, one of the knives slips and hits the wall, narrowly missing someone's head. He laughs like it's a normal Tuesday. I'm sitting there thinking, I should not be witnessing this. Eventually, the train stops, police board, and the guy bolts. Everyone's shaken. Some are applauding, some are crying. I just sit there, heart pounding, realizing that my casual commute almost turned into a disaster movie. I still think about that subway ride every time I take public transport. Totally chaotic, totally absurd, and definitely a should not be witnessing this moment I'll never forget. So this happened my sophomore year. I was walking home after band practice when I saw a crowd gathered around the apartment complex across the street. Curiosity got the better of me, and I sneaked closer. From the rooftop, two guys were having what I can only describe as a full-on, slow-motion action movie standoff. They were pointing fingers like guns, shouting threats, and pacing like they were about to duel. I freeze on the sidewalk, trying not to be seen. Then it gets weirder. One of them pulls out a water gun and starts pretending it's a real weapon. The other responds by pulling out a broom like it's a katana. I'm standing there thinking, what the actual hell am I watching? Suddenly, a bird swoops down and lands on the railing, causing both guys to stumble. They almost fall off the building. I clutch my chest. Eventually, the standoff ends with them shaking hands and pretending it never happened. Everyone disperses. I'm left standing on the sidewalk, drenched in adrenaline, thinking, I absolutely should not have witnessed that. I still replay it in my head. The bird, the water gun, the broomy brain refuses to let me forget the absurdity. I was at a small grocery store late at night grabbing snacks when I witnessed a woman screaming at the cashier over the price of a single banana. Not a dozen bananas, not a basket-owned banana. She's crying, flailing, demanding a manager. I freeze completely. My cart stays in the aisle like a monument to shock. Then it gets worse. Her child, about 5 years old, decides it's the perfect time to throw a full pack of grapes across the aisle. They roll under the shelves, hitting unsuspecting shoppers. Chaos ensues. The manager comes over trying to calm her, but she's now yelling about banana injustice. Other customers are recording with their phones. One guy just mutters, I should not be witnessing this. Eventually, she storms out, still screaming about banana taxes or something. The child follows happily, tossing grapes out the door. I left the store thinking I have witnessed the exact moment humanity failed in produce form. That image of chaos is permanently burned into my brain. This was a cousin's wedding. I'm sitting at a table, sipping champagne when the DJ announces the dance floor is open. One of the uncles, a man in his mid-50s who had clearly been hitting the open bar, decides it's time for a solo performance. I freeze, I shouldn't be watching this. He starts doing moves that defy the laws of physics and basic human anatomy, twisting, flailing, sliding across tables. People are screaming, some are laughing, some are ducking. Then it escalates. The guy somehow grabs a cake knife and starts twirling it like a baton while spinning on the dance floor. I clutch my chair like it's a life raft. A bridesmaid tries to intervene, trips over a chair, and lands in a punch bowl. Absolute chaos. Champagne is spilling. Cake is flying. I want to leave but can't look away. Eventually, someone pulls the uncle away, bleeding slightly but triumphant in his mind. I sit down, stunned, thinking, I really should not be witnessing this. That wedding dance is now legendary in my family stories, and I still relive the chaos in my head like a cinematic masterpiece. I was at the gym late at night, working out quietly, when I witnessed two bodybuilders arguing over who could lift more weight. They start stacking dumbbells on a bench and yelling at each other like it's some kind of gladiator battle. I freeze completely. My headphones are in, but I can't even listen to music to escape. My eyes are glued to this escalating madness. Then it gets ridiculous. One guy attempts a lift, loses balance, and falls backwards into a row of treadmills. The treadmills start wobbling and sliding like dominoes. Another guy slips and nearly collides with the gym smoothie machine. I want to leave, but I can't. I'm witnessing absolute chaos, and somehow it's mesmerizing. People are shouting, weights are clanging, and I feel like I've walked into a live-action cartoon. Eventually, staff rush in, separating the combatants. I leave with my protein shake, thinking, I should never have witnessed this level of destruction in a gym. This happened when I was staying at a hotel for a weekend trip. Around 2 a.m., I wake up to shouting in the hallway. I peek out and see two guests having a full-on screaming match over room keys. I freeze. I shouldn't even know this exists. One guy is waving his arms, accusing the other of stealing the minibar privileges, while the other guy is pointing to a door like it's evidence in a crime scene. Then it escalates. A third guy joins, riding a luggage cart like a skateboard. He crashes into a cleaning cart, sending mops and buckets flying. I clutch the wall, heart racing, thinking, this cannot be happening. By the end, security shows up, and the chaos dissolves into groans and shuffling. I retreat to my room, shaken, realizing I just witnessed the hotel equivalent of a circus apocalypse. Even now, I can't walk past a hotel hallway late at night without thinking of that insanity. It's chaotic, dramatic, funny, and completely absurdal at once. Okay, this one still haunts me. A couple of years ago, a friend invited me to this rooftop party at their apartment building. I didn't know half the people there, and honestly, I wasn't expecting much, just drinks music, a few laughs. I had no idea I was about to witness absolute chaos on a cinematic scale. The party started normal enough, music blasting, people dancing, laughing, drinks being poured. Then someone, let's call him Chad, decides it's time to jump off the roof into the pool. I freeze. Not literally at first, but my brain goes, wait, did he just say that? Before I can process it, Chad trips over the edge of the railing and somehow manages to do a full flip. He lands in the pool, knocking over a floating cooler. Drinks, snacks, a giant inflatable flamingo all go flying. People scream, some laugh hysterically, others duck. I'm clutching a railing, like my life depends on it. Then it gets weirder. Another guy, inspired by Chad, grabs a folding chair and tries to swing into the pool. He misses completely, smashing it against the glass railing. Everyone freezes for a split second. Staring at the shattered shards, I instinctively take a step back, thinking I should not be witnessing this. Meanwhile, someone brings a fog machine onto the roof, apparently to enhance the vibes. And now the whole scene is a chaotic, foggy mess. People are slipping, shouting, and throwing whatever they can find into the pool. A girl's phone goes flying and someone catches it mid-air barely. At this point, I'm standing on the edge of the chaos, paralyzed with both horror and fascination. There's screaming, laughter, and some guy in a unicorn onesie riding the flamingo. I try to tell myself to leave, but I can't look away. 6 hours later, lying in bed replaying the scene, my mental commentary is insane. I'm imagining slow-motion camera angles, dramatic lighting, a heroic soundtrack playing, as Chad dramatically flips into the pool again, this time knocking over an entire inflatable castle. I never intervened. I never got involved. But my mind has turned that night into a full-blown movie, complete with post-apocalyptic pool destruction and heroic rescue attempts that didn't happen. The absurdity of it all, the falling chairs, flying phones, fog machine haze, and unicorn rider makes it unforgettable. Every time I think about that night, I laugh, shiver, and shake my head. I really truly should not have been witnessing that. Sometimes I imagine myself as the narrator of a documentary called Rooftop Disaster. The untold story, providing witty commentary while chaos reigns. In my head, it's perfect. The real me was just standing, frozen drinks in hand, silently praying the railing didn't collapse. That night taught me two things: never trust a rooftop party, and sometimes the best I should not be witnessing this moments are the ones you never forget, no matter how much your brain screams at you to look away. This happened a few summers ago at a friend's backyard barbecue. Everything started out normal, grills going, kids running around, the smell of hot dogs in the air. I was just standing near the patio sipping a soda when I noticed the neighbor's kid, let's call him Timmy, wandering onto the lawn with a water balloon the size of a volleyball. I freeze. My brain goes, oh no, not good. But before I can move, he throws it straight at the grill. It hits the coals and steam and sparks explode everywhere. Everyone screams. I instinctively duck, soda spilling all over me. Then the chaos escalates. The family dog, a giant golden retriever, jumps into the fray, knocking over the cooler full of beers. Glass bottles crash everywhere. People are slipping on spilled soda. I'm trying to step back, but somehow I end up tangled in a hose, spraying myself and my shoes. Suddenly, Uncle Jerry, who has clearly had too many margaritas, decides it's a good idea to start a flaming napkin trick. He lights it on fire and tries to toss it into the grill, but misses completely, sending a flaming napkin across the yard. A cousin jumps to catch it, trips over a lawn chair, and lands in a kiddie pool. I just stand there frozen, thinking I should not be witnessing this. Meanwhile, someone sets off fireworks, completely unsanctioned, in the middle of the yard. Sparklers, fountains, everything. The barbecue smoke mixes with fireworks smoke, creating a haze so thick you can barely see your own hand. People are screaming, laughing hysterically. Some are crying, and Timmy is grinning like he orchestrated the entire apocalypse. I manage to untangle myself from the hose and slip on wet grass, landing in a flower bed. I look up, and Uncle Jerry is now swinging a spatula like a sword, defending himself from a rogue inflatable flamingo someone brought out of the pool. By the end of the night, the grill is completely destroyed. The patio furniture is floating in the pool. And the backyard looks like it's been hit by a tornado. I'm soaked, sticky, covered in ash, and holding a half-eaten hot dog for no reason. I leave thinking, there is no way in the world I should have witnessed that. And yet the absurdity, chaos, and sheer insanity of it all keep replaying in my head. I imagine slow-motion camera angles, dramatic orchestral music, and a voiceover narrating the epic struggle of backyard survival. Even months later, I can't walk past a barbecue without recalling that night. It's funny, terrifying, and completely chaotic. Every time I think about it, I laugh, shiver, and silently thank my luck that I survived unscathed. It was petty, chaotic, and absurd in the best possible way. True, I should not be witnessing this moment that my brain has turned into a permanent dramatic mental movie. I was at the park one Sunday, sitting on a bench and scrolling through my phone when I notice a guy setting up for what looked like a marriage proposal. I freeze because I love witnessing sweet public proposals, right? But this one quickly devolved. He's down on one knee, holding a ring, but the wind catches the ribbon on the bouquet, and it knocks over the microphone he was planning to use. The ring slides across the pavement. I start inching closer, thinking, oh no, don't drop it. Then, the worst happens. A dog some random stray sprints by, snatches the ring in its mouth, and takes off. The guy screams, the crowd gasps, and the woman being proposed to starts laughing nervously. Chaos is unfolding like a bad romantic comedy. The guy chases the dog across the park, slipping on mud, colliding with picnickers, and nearly knocking over a stroller. I'm frozen, standing behind a tree, thinking I absolutely should not be witnessing this. Meanwhile, the woman is now screaming at him to calm down while the dog circles a fountain. Someone in the crowd yells, "Call animal control," but the guy refuses. He's on a one-man mission to retrieve the ring. Eventually, he trips and falls, and the ring rolls into the fountain. Everyone groans. I stand there thinking, this is a proposal for the ages, except everyone's heart is being crushed. By the end, he's drenched muddy, and the woman looks like she might leave him there. I walked home muttering to myself, I should have just kept scrolling. This happened on the 4th of July. My neighbors decided to set off fireworks in their backyard. At first, it's fine. A few sparklers, some small rockets. I'm watching from my porch, enjoying the show. Then, someone gets the great idea to launch a massive firework right next to the oak tree in their yard. I freeze, my heart pounds. No, don't do it. They light it anyway. The firework shoots straight into the branches, sparks fly, and the tree catches fire. People are screaming. Sprinklers activate automatically. Someone's dog runs through the street barking. Absolute chaos. I'm frozen on my porch, popcorn in hand, watching this disaster unfold. One neighbor throws a garden hose on the flames but slips, knocking over a cooler full of beer. Drinks, mud, fire, and screaming pure insanity. Eventually, the fire department shows up. Water hoses spray everywhere. People are coughing and the tree is half charred. I'm standing there thinking I should not be witnessing this, even now. Every time I hear fireworks, I think of that chaotic night, the smells, the smoke, the screaming dog. It's like a disaster movie I was forced to watch live. I was at a corporate party in a high-rise. They had this tiny elevator for staff tours, and I step in with a few colleagues. One of them decides it's the perfect time for a mini karaoke performance. I freeze, not because it's awkward, but because he pulls out a full-blown Bluetooth speaker and starts belting out an off-key rendition of Bohemian Rhapsody. Then, mid-verse, the elevator jolts and stops between floors. The speaker falls, smashing into someone's laptop bag. People are screaming. Someone hits the alarm button, and the guy is still singing, oblivious. I'm pressed against the wall, thinking, I should not be witnessing this. Sweat pours down my face. Other passengers are panicking. The air smells like burnt speaker wires and fear. Eventually, the building staff arrive, pry the doors open, and we spill out like a herd of traumatized cattle. The karaoke singer keeps singing while being escorted out. My brain refuses to forget the absurdity, the chaos, the sheer terror mixed with comedy. I still laugh thinking about the combination of horror, embarrassment, and chaos. Absolute nightmare in an elevator. Alright, so this happened about 6 years ago, and every time I think about it, my stomach still does this weird sinking thing like my brain is trying to eject the memory for my own safety. For context, I used to work at this mid-sized marketing agency where everything looked super normal on the outside, clean lobby, free coffee, too many motivational posters, the whole nine. But anyone who worked there longer than 6 months knew something was off about upper management. Nothing big enough to report. It just vibes. That's the only way to put it, vibes. My boss Daniel was one of those dudes who looked like he was born in a suit. Perfect posture, perfect hair, perfect smile that somehow didn't touch his eyes. He was polite in that robotic corporate way, the kind of guy who says, "Good afternoon," like he's practicing for a hostage negotiation. Anyway, one night I stayed late because I messed up a client presentation and needed to fix it before a morning meeting. The office was dead quiet, just the hum of the building and that stale carpet smell that gets stronger at night. All the overhead lights were off except the row near my cubicle. Around 10:45 p.m., I got up to microwave my sad lean cuisine, and that's when I heard something from the hallway near the executive offices, a thump, then a dragging sound like someone moving furniture, but slower, more deliberate. No one else should have been there. Cleaning crew had already left. I honestly thought it was a raccoon. We'd had one somehow get into the ceiling before, so I walked toward the sound ready to film a raccoon in an office video and get internet famous. I turned the corner and my boss me pristine cold corporate boss is there on the floor, on his hands and knees, dragging a giant duffel bag that was clearly way too heavy for one person. He looked like he'd been doing it for a while. His shirt was soaked through with sweat, hair a mess, tie ripped off. I'd never seen him anything less than razor sharp. But that wasn't the worst part. The duffel bag moved. Not constantly, just once. But it moved. Like something inside shifted. I froze. Fully, absolutely froze. Even my lungs forgot their job. Daniel looked up at me with this expression I wish I could erase from my memory. He didn't look shocked. He looked disappointed, like a parent catching a kid sneaking downstairs on Christmas night. There was this full, silent moment where we both calculated the situation at the same time. He looked at me. I looked at the bag. The bag twitched again, and he just straightened up as much as a man who'd been hauling a potential dead body around could straighten, wiped his forehead with the back of his hand and said, "You didn't see anything." I don't know why, but that sentence felt like someone dropped ice water down my spine. It wasn't even threatening, it was calm, flatway, too calm for the context. I swallowed and somehow croaked out, "Okay." No argument, no bravery, nothing. Just pure survival instinct kicking every rational thought out of my body. He stared at me for maybe 2 seconds, long enough for me to think, well, this is where I die in an office hallway. And then he bent down, grabbed the bag, and dragged it into his office. He didn't close the door, didn't tell me to leave, just kept dragging it out of sight like I wasn't there. The second he disappeared from view, I did the least heroic, least honorable thing possible. I ran, not walked, not calmly exited. Ran. I left my laptop, my bag, my ID badge, everything. I sprinted out of that building like I was escaping a horror movie. I sat in my car shaking so hard I couldn't even put the keys in the ignition. At first I didn't go back to work the next day. Or the next I called HR and said I quit. No explanation, just I'm done. They asked why, and I said personal reasons in the most traumatized voice imaginable. Here's the messed up part. 2 days later, a company-wide email went out saying Daniel had resigned effective immediately due to unforeseen personal matters. A week after that, the police were in the building. Rumors went insane: money laundering, fraud, kidnapping, blackmail, everything short of alien involvement. No one ever got a straight answer because whatever investigation happened, it never made it into the news, completely sealed off. My old coworkers still talk about it like it was an urban legend. And I still have no idea what or who was in that bag, but the second it moved, yeah, I should not have been witnessing that. Even now, 6 years later, whenever I hear something thump in a dark hallway, I swear my heart stops for half a second. Okay, so buckle up because I swear on every group project I've ever carried that this story is true. And sometimes I still wake up at 3 a.m. and think, there's no way that actually happened. But then my brain replays it like a damn Netflix recap. So I was a sophomore, right? And I had this English teacher, Mrs. Linares. Think cardigan-wearing golden retriever in human form. She was the type who said things like, "Okie dokie artichoke," unironically, and gave stickers to 17-year-olds for effort. Like genuinely wholesome, too wholesome, suspiciously wholesome, in hindsight. Anyway, the incident happened on a Friday afternoon detention. My crime? Apparently, you're not supposed to microwave ramen in a thermos until it warps into a biohazard. Whatever. The point is, I'm stuck in detention with 2 freshmen and 1 dude who I'm pretty sure didn't even go to our school. Like he just wandered in and sat down. He didn't even have a backpack or eyebrows. Everything's normal, boring. Mrs. Linares is grading papers and humming some song from the 70s. I'm doodling unspeakable things in the margins of my notebook. Then the phone rings. The classroom phone never rings, ever. It's like this dusty artifact no one remembers exists. She answers it, and her entire demeanor just shifts. Her voice drops like 2 octaves. No more sunshine and rainbows. Mrs. Linares. Suddenly she's talking, like she works for the government. She goes, "Yes, I understand, I'll be right there." Then she hangs up and looks at us with this smile that absolutely does not reach her eyes. "Class," she says sweetly, "I need to step out for a few minutes. Keep working on your assignments." Assignments. Girlie, we're in detention, not a workshop. But she leaves, and I swear, the room temperature drops like 10 degrees. One of the freshmen goes, why did she walk toward the basement stairs? Because yeah, our school had this basement no one used except janitors and possibly cryptid creatures. Students weren't allowed there ever. Not even the seniors. It was like the forbidden forest of our school. So obviously, because we are idiots, we follow her. We sneak out, tiptoe down the hallway, and descend the stairs that smell like chalk dust, mold, and bad decisions. There's this little window in the basement door, and what we see, oh boy, Mrs. Linares, our sweet warm cardigan queen, is in a full-on screaming match with the principal, Mr. Childers. Like feral screaming. I mean, I have never heard a human make those noises. It was like someone stepped on a velociraptor's tail. Mr. Childers shouts, "You said it was handled." She shouts back, "You told me to wait until after winter break." Freshman number 1 starts crying silently like he's watching his parents divorce. Then, and this is where I should have gone back upstairs and pretended I saw nothing, Mr. Childers slams his fist on this metal storage table, and something falls off a notebook. A notebook with my name on it, like my name in Sharpie, with little red sticky notes poking out from the pages like some FBI surveillance report. I nearly swallowed my own tongue, so I'm staring at it, trying not to scream, and then everything goes straight to hell. The lights flicker. Mrs. Linares suddenly stops yelling, and then she, I kid you not, says a Latin prayer, like legit chanting, and Mr. Childers says, "Not down here, someone will hear you, bro. Are you summoning something or rebooting your personality?" One of the freshmen whispers, "Is she possessed?" And right then, Mrs. Linares whips her head toward the door like she heard him. We all dive behind the wall. I think freshman number 2 fainted, RIP. We hear footsteps coming toward the door, and I swear my soul just left my body like, "Good luck, dude, I'm out." The door handle jiggles, then opens. I'm preparing to meet Jesus, but thank God, or Satan. Whoever was working overtime that day, the janitor walks by, pushing his mop bucket. He goes, "Oh, hey, Linares' basement still leaking." Instantly, she snaps back into happy teacher mode. "Oh yes, just checking the pipes with Childers." And the janitor nods like this is the most normal thing ever. Then she smiles, closes the door, and we sprinted back upstairs so fast my lungs almost shut down. We pretended we never left detention. She came back 5 minutes later, all sunshine again like, "Thank you for being patient, everyone, lady. I saw you chanting in Latin like you were about to open the gates of hell, but sure." After detention, I snuck back to the basement entrance. The notebook with my name on it gone TLDR. Followed my teacher to a forbidden basement, witnessed her scream fighting the principal chanting in Latin and standing over a creepy notebook with my name on it. Should not have been witnessing any of it. Still confused. Still afraid. Still don't trust cardigans.